Hey everyone, we're back again. Shenanigans, the podcast. I'm Tay.
And I'm B. Wills.
You know what we do here. Once again, we talk about everyday life and all the stuff that comes along with it. So thanks again for joining us on this journey. Shenanigans starts now. What's going on?
Let's go ahead and give our listeners their accolades and their flowers.
I think we have a pretty good lineup for you guys here today. First thing, what I wanted to do was clarify what this podcast is and what this podcast isn't. Thanks to my son who gave his comments on listening to the podcast. He was like, please don't turn this into a toxic male versus female battle type of podcast. And we're definitely not doing that.
Absolutely
we're not mentioning any names, but there are certainly toxic male podcasts out there as well as toxic female podcasts out there. And that is not what we're looking to do. We are just trying to give our unique viewpoints coming from the male perspective and the female's perspective. So we're definitely not trying to be in that toxic space.
Absolutely. I mean, this is shenanigans, but it is entertaining, and we're going to be able to have a clear understanding and our perspective on both sides. So we're not going to just overshadow or lean to one person or one side. And we're all about having fun, but at the same time, continue to give us all the feedback, and we will take it in consideration because we love it. What you got?
Yeah, so last week we added a few other segments, a few new segments now that we're done with the life story and the trilogy and all that. So last week we added the hypothetical question of the week segment. We added the man versus woman question of the week segment. We added the something new segment, and thought it would be a good idea to add a quote of the week because I love quotes. And I actually have a book called The Quotationary, and it's huge like a dictionary, but it's just filled with quotes. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, The Quotationary.
I like it.
It's awesome.
I think quotes are inspirational. I have a coworker that was her thing. She would send out a quote to email every day.
Mm-hmm. Definitely inspirational, and they can help us, lead us to think sometimes. So I chose one this week. Next week you can choose one if you like, but the one I picked for this week, it says, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do." I chose this one because I try very hard to be a woman of my word, and that quote is from Carl Jung. So I 100% agree with this. People say things all the time, but they don't always do what they say they'll do. So that's my quote of the week.
I like that quote, and that actually resonates with me because I personally have been striving to be not that person that is a pen and paper person. I don't want to be that person that just has all these ideas and none of them come off the paper. So this is a good quote because in many cases, there's so much lip service out here, and 90% of the people are not that. So that is a really good quote. I like that one. That's a great way to start this podcast off today, this episode. I'm going to definitely keep that one in the Rolodex.
It kind of speaks to that, the saying of talk is cheap. Anybody can say anything, but it's your actions that prove who you really are as a person. So oftentimes when we meet someone new, you're meeting the representative, and that representative hangs around for a little while. And then you really start to see who that person really is.
Sometimes that representative is around until you commit, and then you see the actual...
Oftentimes that representative hangs around until they get what they want, for sure. That's the whole point of the representative, to be the front person, to be like, sure, this is who I am. Sure, this is what I'll do.
It's a salesman.
As soon as you sign on that line, that mask is coming off. But, yeah. All right. What's next on the docket? Next up on the docket, I'm going to go ahead and throw to B. Wheels. This is his segment. It's okay to say no. What's that all about?
All right. Have you ever been in a situation where you agree to do something, a task, or even something at work? And most commonly, we agree to do things for our friends.
I never agree to do something at work. I never want to do it.
Okay. Yeah. Who does? In many cases, I remember what you said.
I never want to do it.
I know. Jobs are
Sorry, go
stressful. It is. Yes, I jumping in my segment, messing it all up. You crazy. Yes. So in that situation, it's okay to say no.
You want to expound on that? Do you have an example or something?
Yes, I do have an example of that. So let's say you agree to go somewhere with someone, and it's a good idea at the time, but because of the environment or because of the parties involved and the person asking you, you agree to do it because you actually want to be accommodating. It sounds like a good idea. But then the dust settles, the day approaches, you have a few hours, and you're sitting here thinking like, really, I didn't want to do this. So why do we do that? And what is it that we can actually do to get out of that situation? What would you, because didn't you have a situation similar to that?
Sometimes you can't get out of the situation. Yeah, I had a situation similar to that where, you make plans with people, the day comes and you're just tired. Like the week, you had a long week and it seemed like a good idea initially, but now it's just like, I don't want to do anything. I just want to relax. I want to enjoy my weekend. I want to take a nap. But yeah, sometimes you can't get out of it. Sometimes you just have to bite the bullet. And again, you are what you do, not what you say you'll do. So being a person of your word, you have to just bite the bullet and do what you said you'll do. Thankfully, in my particular situation, the weather kind of ruined my plans. So thank you, Mother Nature. Other than that, it might be aggravating sometimes. But I find in those types of situations, you kind of just have to grin and bear it, especially if you agreed to something.
Yeah, that's in most of the cases. In my situation, I look at it as being sometimes, in the past, I felt some type of obligation to this person. For some reason, I felt that I owed or I needed to be the savior. So I think in this situation, we have to be able to own our own feelings, own the fact that it's okay to say no. Yes, we want to be helpful to others, but what we need to really recognize is that we need to be first helpful to ourselves. It doesn't help us or anybody else if you agree to something and you're not into it. So look at the situation and don't feel pressure to say yes to something that you potentially won't be able to do. So let's practice saying, I'll think about it. I'll get back to you. Let me look at my situation.
So you just said you felt obligated to help this person. So did you already say yes to a situation and then you were now wanting to say no?
Absolutely.
So you've already passed the point where you could say, it's a good idea, I'll think about it. Because you already said yes.
Yeah, that's why I say was practice saying that beforehand and
so
instead of agreeing. So in their situation, if someone, how would you have done it if they agreed? And then, many times we agree for different reasons, whether it's because of our children, we want to give them something, or an outlet, or you feel obligated, or you like this person and you want to help them out. There's many different reasons people say yes to things initially and then want to renege on that promise or obligation.
So if it's a huge thing where it's something that I know that I'm not going to be able to commit to, I will not say yes. The situation that I was talking about did have to do with my son having, a get together with some of his friends, and the day came and I was just exhausted. So thanks to the rain, I didn't have to do it. But if the weather was nice, I would have had to bite the bullet and take him anyway, as I agreed to do. But I don't know what you're referring to when you're saying you felt an obligation to someone, so you said yes to something. I typically won't say yes if it's a big undertaking. I will most likely be like, I'll think about it or have more of a discussion around it. But again, not knowing too much of what you're saying and not even getting too deep into that, how did you rectify the situation of now? Because are you saying now you wanted to say no when you already said yes?
Yeah,
and absolutely. It sounded like it was a more serious situation than a play date.
Yeah, absolutely. So my situation actually was a work situation that I'm referring to. So I agreed to something that was a question presented to a group. And because of where I am striving to get to in that particular position and the job, I felt the pressure and the heat coming from my supervisor at that time. And so I agreed. And after agreeing to it, and I just felt unbelievable amount of pressure afterward. And I really couldn't give it my all. So it became resentful.
Yeah, I mean, I can see where that can be difficult, especially if you're talking about a work situation where things are often, I want to say suggested, but it's more than a suggestion. It's kind of like something that's put on your plate. You really are not given an option, but it's kind of made to sound like it's an option, but not really. So, yeah, that's understandable.
This segment was a little bit long and maybe a little bit unclear. I apologize for that. If I should have gave the example in the beginning, but I just wanted to say, don't be afraid to say no.
All right. I like it.
Excellent.
What's next? What do we have next? Chemistry versus compatibility. So I chose this topic. It is always something that I find very interesting. So we're going to talk about it. Chemistry versus compatibility. Is one more important than the other? So I'm going to read the definitions of both, and then we can discuss it. So chemistry is the complex emotional or psychological interaction between two people, also known as a connection, a strong mutual attraction or attachment. Compatibility is a state in which two things are able to exist or occur together without problems or conflict. So like-mindedness, similarity, or agreement. So those are the definitions of the two words. How I take chemistry is, it's in the definition, something psychological. So it's a connection. You can't really explain it. You just feel this connection or attachment to someone. But then compatibility is you might not have that psychological attachment. There may not even be a strong attraction, mutual attraction, but you can exist with that person with minimal problems, with minimal conflicts. You can agree easily with this person. You guys have similar tastes in certain things. You are similar in actions and likes and dislikes. Personally, myself, I think it's important to have both. I feel like you want chemistry with the person that you're with. Obviously, you want that strong attraction and you want it to be mutual. You don't want to have one person more attracted to the other person. This is my opinion. But you also need that compatibility, because what if you have this chemistry, you have this strong attachment to someone, but you don't really get along? Like, you have nothing in common. One person likes to watch TV, the other person doesn't. It could sound petty, but one person likes comedy, another person likes drama. I mean, those things come into play, I think, if you're in a relationship. If you can't laugh together at the same things, if you just don't have that connection, then I personally don't think it will work out. So that's my thoughts on compatibility versus chemistry.
I definitely am a firm believer, and I believe that you need both. You cannot exist in a functional, long-lasting relationship without both. It's impossible. You need that compatibility to function every day. You need that compatibility so that when problems, which they will, and circumstances come up, you're able to collectively make decisions that will be beneficial for both parties. That chemistry is just pure, raw, uncut attraction sometimes. That is sometimes what gets you in the door. You need to have that for longevity. And that chemistry will take you farther along when the sex is gone, or other things in the equation are no longer. That chemistry will come back to the foundation. You'll have that, remember those conversations, that look. And chemistry is oftentimes can be what keeps the relationship together when you're having hardship. If you can go back to that time in that beginning and just rekindle and recreate that chemistry, the compatibility can be reignited or recharged. So I am a firm believer in both. I personally was in a situation where there was a small amount of compatibility. The chemistry was just off. It was slightly one-sided or tilted, if that even makes sense.
Interesting that you said you feel like chemistry is what keeps people together. Let's say when the attraction fades away, or things start getting stale, or things start getting old. I thought the exact opposite. I'm thinking that compatibility is what keeps people together when the chemistry is breaking down. Because the chemistry is the psychological, is that chemical connection between you two. So when that breaks down, what do you have? You have to have commonality between you two. You have to have like-mindedness. You have to be able to still work together and have that foundation of, hey, we're in this together. And I think that comes with compatibility. If you have two like-minded people who are both coming to the table with the thought of, it's me and you, it's us against the world, then when all the other stuff breaks down, let's say the physicality goes out the door. Let's say someone's snoring and they're getting on your nerves. Let's say someone's smacking in their food at the table and you just staring at them across the room like you want to just throw something at them. When all that stuff starts to happen, and you can fall back on that compatibility, I think. But again, hey, it's open for interpretation.
But what happens when the compatibility you feel is that the compatibility breaks down? You're no longer, because here's compatibility. When you're in a situation, just look at us. When things were rough and that time, and we had the compatibility, we were still functioning. We did
not have the compatibility. We were functioning, yes, like robots. Okay. So I feel like if the compatibility breaks down, then you're going to have a total breakdown of the relationship. So if you're no longer thinking alike, if one person is thinking like a sole entity now, and they're not thinking like a group anymore, you're going to have a complete breakdown.
True.
And you can't have chemistry when that's the case. If you can no longer agree on things, then you're going to have a breakdown. And you could care less about the chemistry at that point. So, yeah, I mean, this is what I think, open for interpretation, but I for sure think both are needed. I don't know anyone who would want to be in a relationship without chemistry or compatibility. So
that is got me thinking on that one.
What do you think? What happens with compatibility breaks down?
What do you guys think?
No, what do you think?
Oh, what do I think?
If compatibility were to break down,
100%.
You said you feel like the relationships can still last just based on chemistry alone?
No, I'm not saying that, because I believe both needed. But I'm thinking, when I said the chemistry, what I was really getting at is, just like you said, when the compatibility feels it's broken, you're no longer on the same page. If you're able to go back to that time when you had nothing but butterflies or what have you when you thought about that person, I feel as though you can get back to that foundation of the compatibility. Because
which of the topics do you feel like the butterflies fall under?
That's a good thing. I was thinking the butterflies might have been the chemistry.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I don't know. When I was having the situation, when we were having our situations, like I said, I used to say I would fall in love with you 5 times out the week. Granted,
I feel like we're going to need a hypothetical couple to reference.
well, we'll come up with a hypothetical couple after this. But for me to make this make sense to me, I can only go back to and what I have experienced and how I felt. Our chemistry was always there. There was a time where the compatibility seemed to be definitely a breakdown, and it was mentally, but there was still that high that I would just be like, I love this woman. Like, she's dope. Like, why are we going through this? And it would always shock me and have me come back to the point where, like, I want to fix the breakdown, because I still felt as though I had the love. I still felt endeared.
So I think just taking the basic definition of the words for face value, you can see someone, you could be in a relationship with someone for a relatively short period of time and get those butterflies every time you see them, but still not know who they are.
Yes.
You still don't know really what they like. You still don't really know if their agreeableness matches up with your agreeableness. You really don't know if you guys have that much in common yet, but you still get those butterflies. You get kind of like a rush when you see them. You get a rush when you hang out with them.
So that makes you want to.
So what I'm saying is, I agree with you when you say the butterflies would fall under the chemistry, because you could have the chemistry. You could have those butterfly feelings without really knowing a person yet. So.
Because we kind of think with our eyes. So, yes. Each time you see this person, you be like, this person get on my daggone nerves. But then you see that person, you be like, I gotta fix this. I know for a fact, because I've been in that situation. Like, I gotta fix this situation. Like, I love this person so much. What can I do to fix this? I gotta get on the same page. Like, at one point in time, we may have been on the same page. Or what can I do to change me and look at myself personally to see how I can fit or maneuver my thinking so that it aligns with my partner. So that's why I say chemistry sometimes can bring you back to that foundation.
I think for me, and again, speaking only for myself, if the chemistry is lost on my end, then it's very hard for me to get that back.
100%.
Because something has happened to now where I don't even have that psychological connection with that person anymore. So once I lose that, then the chemistry almost for me will never be the same. So compatibility is easier to rekindle, because if you're alike, then that's never going to change. You guys like the same things. That's just who you are.
So that
as
becomes
people.
Your friends. Yeah, that's the friendship.
Yeah, but once that chemistry has gone, and again, that's usually because something's happened, trust has been broken, whatever the case may be, then that's severed for me personally.
She is not lying, because she will turn off.
So again, very interesting how these two things play a part with each other and in relationships.
I think it is. Leave in the comments what you think about this one. I would really like to see some feedback on this particular subject. So definitely leave your thoughts in the comment section. Which is more important, chemistry or compatibility? Mm-hmm. And if you think both, think about it. If there's a breakdown, which will save the other?
Or what's more important to you?
What is more important?
Which one's more important to you? All right, so that's our chemistry versus compatibility.
Next subject.
Yeah. Next up on the docket,
hypothetical questions.
Hypothetical question of the week. So this came up because I don't know if you guys have been seeing this on social media, but the whole thing with Megan Good and Jonathan Majors and Michael Ealy, who Mike came and, he saw Megan Good and they're old friends, and he comes up and gives her a huge hug, picks her up, gives her a hug, and Jonathan Majors is just in the background looking super salty. So, hypothetical question of the week. What do you do? How do you react when a person, a friend of the opposite gender, hugs your spouse in front of you. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say Michael Ealy, he did dap up Jonathan Majors first. So he was respectful.
100%.
However,
What's
after
the
the hug and dap of Jonathan Majors, he scooped up Megan, and they gave like a old time brother sister hug. I haven't seen you in so long. And then Jonathan Majors' face was just like he was not happy with it. So, again, the question: what do you do? How do you react when a person of an opposite gender hugs your spouse? You want me to go first, or you want to go first?
We already know your position on this one. I'm going first. I don't see the problem, really. The fact that he dapped up Jonathan, he gave respect to dude. In this situation, they know each other. They're almost like brother and sister. They done did 2 movies together, and the industry is small. They know each other. Come on now. Had he done this and just ignored dude and came in and but 100% respectful. There's no reason for him to be salty unless he's just insecure with himself. I mean, I don't get it.
Okay. So we're talking about famous people. Now bring it to real life, non-famous people. If it was you and your spouse and her friend of a long time, are you feeling the same way?
I'm going to be honest, because there's a certain friend that you have. If you did that, I would just be
Can we talk about random people? Why does it always have to be me?
Because that's the only way. Why else?
No, you can think hypothetically in your mind.
Okay, so I'm going to think hypothetically. See the shenanigans? Stop bullying me.
Take me out of the scenarios, please.
Bro, I don't know any other scenario because
Yes,
I gave you the situation. I really don't care. To be honest, I'm confident within myself to not really care about that. That
Okay.
is just, that's so small. There's ways, and especially if you're respectful, then who am I? You had a life before me. I got friends, but still, we already know how.
Okay. Is that your answer?
That's my answer. I'm sticking with that one.
All right. I don't like it.
I know you don't.
Has nothing to do with confidence. I'm confident in myself enough to say I don't like it. Maybe you had friends in the past. Maybe you guys knew each other. Maybe you went all the way back to kindergarten. There is such a thing as handshakes. There is such a thing as dap. I don't think you need to be out there giving dramatic hugs to anybody of the opposite gender. I just feel it's a respect thing. You have your spouse standing by looking like a jerk, and you're sitting up there acting like the person is I don't know.
Family. So, wait a minute. Let's pause. If your family member did that, would that be a problem?
If my family member did what?
If your family member came in, dapped up the person, and picked you up and just oh my God, I haven't seen you in so long.
It's my family?
Yeah, I'm just...
It's my family that give me a hug?
Humor me for a minute. Yes.
I'm getting clarification.
Yes,
then
it is your
obviously,
family.
Then I'm going to hug my family. It's family.
Okay. So, in the situation, that if you feel like this person, you're close enough that they are your family, your brother, then that's how people are thinking.
I don't feel that way about anybody. So, unless they're my family. I mean, I do have close friends, but I'm never going to be this is my brother. Because I'm not. No. Because I've been also told way too many times by men that there's no guys out there that just look at females as true friends. There's always guys always got a hidden agenda.
That's not true.
I'm just saying what has been stated by many men.
Many men, and those many men are wrong, because clearly you can have someone as your friend of the opposite sex.
Once again,
but
the general status is that someone always has an agenda. And if the other person were to go ahead and give the green light, that person with the hidden agenda would be all systems go.
Okay.
There's always one person that is holding their stance no, we're just friends. But the other person is if this person was to say one day, I would like to be more than friends, they would be 100% in and down with being more than friends. That's what I've heard. That's all I'm saying. So
okay. I mean,
that may
I'm
not be
not
my
going,
thought
I am
process
actually
with it.
kind of slightly agree with that.
That may not be my thought process with it, but like I said, for me, it's just a respect thing. I don't think that that needs to happen, because now your spouse is standing up there looking like a jerk, and you're sitting up there with this big dramatic hug session.
I do believe that that's something that should be talked about beforehand, though, because understand the boundaries. Because if you don't know the boundaries, and then you gotta have enough respect to understand.
I was going to
that
say,
person.
because there could also be a conversation about it, and you be told about the boundaries, but it continues to happen anyway. So,
give me some shots.
once again,
on that
it's the
one,
respect thing. Definitely a respect thing.
I need a better explosion for a shotgun.
All right. Hypothetical question of the week. I think we did it. Man versus woman question of the week. Another topic that came up a few months back with some more famous people who had gotten a divorce, and the wife was like, hey, I'm keeping the name. It's been my name for years. I'm keeping my last name. It's not a big thing about, I see no need to change my name. But there was a big hoopla out there where people, mostly men, were saying, why wouldn't she change her name back? You're not married to him anymore. What's the problem? Now you want to keep his name? Oh, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So the question, what are the thoughts on the ex-wife keeping the ex-husband's last name? Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first on this one?
You can go first, but I think
Me?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm keeping the name. Just because, why would I change it back? It's too much of a hassle. This has been my name for the past so-and-so years. I see no need to change it.
What if it was only 90 days?
If it was only 90 days, I most likely would not have changed my name in the first place.
But you didn't,
because once again, it's a
you
hassle.
didn't go into.
I'm just saying, I'm a procrastinator, so it might take me 90 days to even get the paperwork and even start working on that. But
Interesting.
yeah, it's a whole thing with the Social Security card. It's a whole thing with the license. It's a whole thing. Like, it's a whole thing.
You're a procrastinator?
So it's not a big thing to me. I'm going to keep it. It is what it is.
Me, personally, it depends if I like you or not. Yeah, I really never gave it that much thought. But if it's a situation where I don't like you, or I'm feeling very strong feelings, and it was a situation, yeah, give me my name back. I need none of it. I need you to cut, Control, Alt, Delete. Give me that.
So what about the people who say, because this was a comment that was made, what about the people who say, you're the one who got into this situation, this marriage, you gave her your name, it's her name now, you ain't got no say. You gave it, now it's no longer yours.
Okay, but if you're agreeing to leave, then give me my name back. What's wrong with you?
So you just disregard that comment?
Yeah, I'm gonna disregard that comment. That's a conversation and then litigation in that little small room that you have, or beforehand. But eat the cake, Adam May. Give me my daggone name back.
So I feel like, interesting. Okay.
Like I said, if I like you. It depends on the dynamics of the conversation or the relationship at the time of the demise.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the legal process of
Legally,
everything.
I really
don't
don't care. Isn't it?
I feel like legally it's not really up to you to say. And I feel like I don't think that there's any judge that would be like, you have to give the name back. I really don't. But yeah, interesting.
Well, it's always the situation. Leave the comments in what you think on that one.
I think we're at our last segment. Something new. B. Wills, you have the something new topic this week? What's up?
So this something new is not necessarily something new, but I think that pizza is not new, but the topping selection. I've recently stumbled upon in trying to clean up my life and my life as far as eating clean. I put chicken, spinach, and onions. And if you add extra cheese, well, my little boy loves cheese, so I added extra cheese on that one. Oh, amazing. The combination, doesn't seem like something you would put together, but when I tell you they go together, slap. Yeah,
So,
it's busting.
Extra cheese, chicken, spinach, and what?
Onions.
And onions.
You know you love onions.
So that's the something new for this week?
That's
a
the
new
something,
pizza topping?
A new pizza topping. I like to say you try that or Mulberry's Secret Garden pizza. Oh, it's a vegetable pizza that you do not miss meat. It is so delicious. And it's a perfect name called the Secret Garden because literally the secret is there's no meat on it. And I thought it was.
So for the people who don't live in this area or who don't have a pizza called the Secret Garden, I feel like you're talking about just a veggie pizza?
Well, yeah, it could be a veggie pizza. I don't know. I've had multiple veggie pizzas and it didn't taste the same as Mulberry's. So Mulberry's in Manchester, if you on Main Street, you guys. If you're from the area, Connecticut, Hartford area, yes, that is the place to try that. But for the toppings, try your spinach, chicken, and onions. And if you're a cheese lover, add extra cheese, and it will change your life.
All right. Well, thank you for that something new this week, B Wheels, and I think that now brings us to the end of today's Shenanigans podcast. As always, we want to thank you guys for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the topics for today, and we look forward to talking to you again next week. Have a good week out there, everyone.
Stay cool, hydrate, and thank you again for listening to Shenanigans. I'm B. Wills.
And I'm Tay. We're signing off. Peace out.